I bet you weren't expecting this face. We've got Adobe Max deals, Google Genie 3, a Jim Henson rebrand, and so much more on today's episode of File New. Hello, everyone. Welcome to File New with a new guest. I should say host guest. I'm not taking or replacing Ryan or anything like that. I'm just filling in. If you don't know me, my name is Jacob, or better known as by Jacob Harris. I am a full-time freelancer and an artist who loves news, loves staying up to date with things. So it just felt like a good fit. I already see some people in chat. Hello, Oliver. Hello, Cody. Thanks for doing some modding for us today. If you're unfamiliar with the show, this is a new show all about art things and just things going on in the world. So feel free to express your interest with the things, talk about. This is meant to be a commentary, so I'd love to hear how you feel about the news that we're talking about today, because some controversial, some not. But yeah, we've got a lot to cover today. It's going to be a really fun show. So yeah, we'll just start it off with the news. So first up in the news is actually some Adobe Max related stuff, which is super fun. At the top, you heard me talking about some deals. Well, Adobe Max is, looks like my screen isn't being shared. What a start. Let's do let's fix this real quick. There we go. Now you should be able to see. Perfect. So Adobe Max is coming back to Los Angeles, October 28th and 30th, and online for free, which is really nice, really accessible in my opinion. There's going to be over 250 sessions and hands-on labs across 8 creative tracks, which is really cool. I have been to Adobe Max before. It's a ton of fun. Even if you're just able to check out the sessions online, they're very inspiring. They're really, really cool. I definitely encourage, if you can carve out some time on that day, or on those, 3 days, check it out because it's a ton of fun. The cool part about this one is, and I think this might be new, full-time students can attend in person in LA for $399, which is pretty good. I would say a pretty good deal, not gonna lie. There's some luminary sessions that are worth checking out as well. Alan Peters is doing a design the logo, sell the logo, chase the dream. Alan Peters is a super talented designer and just overall business guy. You can learn about logo designing, branding, and client relationship strategies from a top design pro. As I said, really cool guy. Definitely have liked his stuff and very insightful. There's also Serwa Atufoa, I think. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Rendering reality, exploring Afrofuturism, 3D digital worlds, and art as a tool for cultural storytelling and social change, which is really nice because I love the exploration of Afro culture, or just African culture in general. I mean, I'm a little biased, but Wade in the chat saying, are we all full-time students? I think we are all full-time students. We're all learning today. It is very profound. We also have Vinny Hobbs on Beyond the Timeline, go beyond technical editing into emotional and human aspects of storytelling through video. And I have to say, actually being able to go into the video aspect of Adobe Max, I did a couple of video modules. They're extremely helpful for editing. It definitely helped me a lot with just being able to, edit better, make better content, as a content creator. So definitely don't look over those if, you're going to the art show and you're thinking, oh, well, I want to learn more about art. I want to learn about designing. And you kind of lock yourself into that specifically. Oliver says, can we all get student discounts? Maybe we're all learning together. Next up in the news is some Adobe Express updates. This is something that we've all been asking for a while. in my opinion. Spell checker. Finally, you can add words to the dictionary or ignore certain words, which is really, really nice. I need spell checker in all of my programs. I need them in all of them. Please, let's make that a priority. I'm horrible at typing. It is miserable. We also can apply masks using custom shapes. You can upload custom shapes as SVGs from multiple sources. Again, this is something that I think if you are a Adobe Express user, it will be something that you've been looking out for a long time. I know I have. And let's see. Yeah, mark shapes as favorites for easy access in the future as well. Yeah, I think being able to do these masks and things like that is very useful. Custom masks, especially for just general design, something I've been implementing a lot more in Illustrator because I've been doing a lot more design-based things in Illustrator. Wow, that was a crazy way to say that. I'm doing a lot more mask design based things in Illustrator. I didn't use masks a lot. I typically just did illustration, but now I've been doing a lot of cards and, wallpapers and things like that. So, customization for social safe zones. That was highlighted in last week or 2 weeks ago's Adobe Live with Brittany Megan and that team, a lot of social assets. So definitely check out that last stream. We really got into the nitty gritty of social and things like that. So yeah, more social safe zones for Express, just more ways to make it easier to create assets for your Instagram, for your TikTok, for places where those things live. Next up, a real fun one for those of you that are in the New York area. Nicer Tuesdays will be returning to New York. Now, before I read into this article, I did not know what Nicer Tuesdays were. But Nicer Tuesdays are a visual art theater in Chelsea, New York on September 9th. Doors will open at 6:30. And there's some really fun talks about photographers, or I should say there's talks by photographers like art director Andrew B. Myers, Byline creative director Madeline Montoya, collage artist Tina Tona, and a Q&A with Michael Barut, which is really nice. Any of those talks where you have designers that are willing to kind of open up and be in a more intimate space, it's always worth it. I highly encourage it if you're in the New York City area to check it out. I'm a little jealous because I'm over in Calgary now, and I feel like the art, talks, they're not few and far between. We have a lot of cool things over in this area, especially with the Calgary Art Institute, but they're a little harder to find. It's nice when these things are promoted in a cool way. So yeah, next up, this is going to be one that'll be fun to talk about in the chat. So I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. Google's new AI model creates video game worlds in real life. Essentially what that means is, Google DeepMind just announced Genie 3, which offers improvements to real-time interactions. I know that there's been some kind of talks here and there about the advancements of the Google AI system. It's very scary for some people. I mean, I would even say it's a little scary, especially with the implementation of audio and video. It's a lot. I think we're moving at a really fast rate, and we're just seeing that, especially with these new advancements. Things are changing weekly. Oliver says on the Behance chat, they do these in London too. Maybe one day I'll make it to one. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth it. If I had them around, I would try, as long as it's in the budget, of course. But yeah, this was reported by Jay Peters at The Verge, as you can see down here below. A major upgrade to the AI world model that generates interactive 3D environments from simple prompts. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of advancements in just general usage of AI, creation, iteration, and I think that things like this kind of just go to show that it's not going anywhere. It's not stopping. It's barreling at full speed ahead. And looking at some of these specs, like longer stable interactions, more than Genie 2, which capped at 10 to 20 seconds. Genie 3 can support a few minutes, which is kind of crazy, of real-time interaction and can visually remember objects, which is wild. Higher fidelity, the generated environments now run at 720p and 24 frames per second, which I think is very funny to think about, because in the context of, I don't know, like quality, we're at 4K, 8K. It just feels like we're kind of doing this like flat circle time thing of, yeah, now we're moving into AI and iteration, and we're starting at like 540 up to 720 and just getting better and better qualities. I don't know, it just feels like I've seen this before and we're at it again, which is fine. I think it's funny, but yeah, I want to double check to see if I can see the YouTube comments on here real quick, because I realized that I'm not seeing anything on my end. So I'm just going to take a short moment to bring it up on my phone. Let's see. Sweet. Yeah, I was not able to see the YouTube comments because Ryan was popping in and saying hello. Hey, Ryan. Thank you for coming in. I missed my EDU email. I also missed my EDU email. All this to say, just kind of to hone back in, users can change the weather, spawn characters, or alter other aspects of the world mid-interaction just by typing prompts. See, this type of iteration I find very interesting when it comes to AI, when it comes to design with I guess iteration, right? Especially when you have these worlds that are so robust. I'm interested to see how this, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? How this like makes things more accessible, is how you're able to make the more like space games. There's this one that like totally escaping my mind, but there was like a space exploration game that I think fell pretty flat, specifically because of the fact they weren't able to make it as robust as they wanted it to. So I'm interested to see, once we're kind of implementing these types of world building into video games that are already established, so like the Halos, the Call of Duties, the I don't know, Animal Crossing, like if that'll be beneficial or if that will be something that never really catches on. I think there's dangers between cutting jobs and being more efficient, and versus having more capability to do more things and being more accessible. I feel like it's just kind of like a give and take. So I'm interested to see what this will mean for the future of gaming and AI iteration. Next up, though, we have something I found very interesting. This is Ghost, the social web platform, has now implemented ActivityPub, which allows you to natively distribute across platforms like Mastodon, Threads, Blue Sky, and Flipboard, turning Ghost publications into decentralized social profiles, which I find interesting. I feel like anything that allows you to post across multiple platforms and standardize your posting is extremely helpful, and I'm sure that they see that as well, because the earnings are booming for Ghost. Since the launch of Ghost 5 3 years ago, annual publisher revenue has jumped from 10 million to over 100 million, so definitely working out for Ghost, which is nice. And their own revenue has doubled to 8.5 million. So definitely a moneymaker here. Definitely something that I'm sure we won't see going away. More apps are going to be integrating into more things. I mean, Adobe Express is doing it. You have Instagram with Facebook, like the calendars of being able to post on different social platforms. Just a lot of different things. Steven over on YouTube asking, what are we talking about? Right now, we're talking about Ghost. Ghost has implemented some new social web initiatives and able to connect native platforms. So being able to connect to Blue Sky and things like that. We're in the news section right now, but you came in at a good time because we're about to hop over to the font of the week. But first, Steven, how are we doing? We're doing great. I would say I'm doing pretty good. How is everyone in the chat doing? You know what? Let's take a moment. Where's everybody tuning in from? I'd love to hear where you guys are getting your news today, maybe what time it is, because we're spread off across all different time zones. Steven says my dog says hi. Hello, Steven's dog. I'm sure you have a name. But yeah, where are we calling in from? Where are we watching in? I, as I said on the top, am coming in from Calgary, Alberta. It's about 11 in the morning, so it is an early morning for me. Did not sleep super well, but we're turning and burning. Oliver, UK here, 6:15 over on Behance. Wow, late. Getting some late night news. Love that. I shouldn't say late. Afternoon, evening time. Probably just finished with dinner. But yes, I think this is a perfect segue to move into something that I'm very excited about, which is our font of the week. So, our font of the week this week, I'm going to go ahead and unhide some of these. We have a few different sections, or a few different suggestions, I should say. First up, we have Vajgar. I hope that is pronounced correctly. So this one is super sweet. Big fan of the kind of like Templary vibes. Very nice for just, I don't know what I would implement this in. I feel like probably into some like package design or something along those lines. Like, I don't know. It said like what's a fun package? Playing cards. Yeah, like this feels very medieval to me. I kind of like it. It's nice. It's fun. We also have Strika. This kind of reminds me of these gosh, there was these like specific type of fonts that I really enjoyed, like the expanded like bold fonts. I guess this one would be the ultra setting, which is really funny. I'm trying to think of what are some applications I could use for this guy. And while we're working through this, Cody, do you think we could do a poll on seeing which one of these fonts we like the most? I'm gonna go ahead and change the names of these to what they actually are, so maybe we can get that set up. But Calvino, yeah, so we do need to vote on our font of the week, see which one is our favorite. I think personally I am leaning towards, actually I don't know, Ryan, you are right. It is a pretty contentious matchup. All these are pretty good, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe all of these are, let me just check real quick. Yes, so to give you some details, of course, on BC Vajgar, this is a humanist, this is their description. A humanist serif typeface rooted in Gerald tradition, which refers to the Renaissance-inspired serif typefaces. I called it. It looked medieval. It looked like the knights. I gotta move the box down in the layer panels. Oh, I see. Whoopsie. Check this out. Boom. Beautiful. Look at that. We fixed it. Easy peasy. I don't know what I'm voting for right now. But so yes, this is based off of a serif typeface, humanist calligraphy with the structure and balance of classical typography. Of course, this was kind of the vibe I was getting, like I said, which is funny. And no worries, Ryan, no worries at all. High legibility, warm organic structure. We could definitely see that here. Whoops. I'm getting some warm organic vibes. Italics with distinct design for text versus display. Available in both standard and condensed display versions. I'm a big fan of the condensed versions, which is nice. And yeah, a very cool one, a very, very cool one to start. I think that actually might have been on. Yeah, sorry, that was for Calvino. Sorry, we're a little mixed up in the doc over here, but that explanation was for Calvino, which, interestingly enough, I don't know if I'm getting Renaissance vibes from Calvino versus Vajgar. Personally, I don't know. Let me know in the chat what you guys think of these two side by side each other. This, I don't know, this just gives kind of like Templar vibes. A little more about Calvino. It's refined, expressive serif family with a wide tonal range, ideal for thoughtful, literary, and editorial applications. The full family includes 34 weights, which is really nice when you're paying for fonts. And yes, it's supported over 200 languages. That's really nice too. Next up, of course, we have Strelka, I think. This is a sans serif type face, if that wasn't obvious enough with how thick and bulky it was. This display is a sci-fi and retro futuristic, which I definitely get those vibes. It's influenced by space age aesthetics, which I 100% can see. You like Strika? Yeah, I think it is one of those, or I should say Oliver says that they like Strika. I think it's one of those, like, this is like definitely different sides of a coin, right? Like this represents every single different type of designer and how they design, so it is kind of tough. It emphasizes bold geometric forms with strong visual impact, includes Cyrillic support, which is really nice, very, very inclusive in my opinion. Small caps, alternative Latin characters, and automatic fractions, including for stylized data or culinary applications. That's kind of nice. I can't lie. I feel like one of the things I've been noticing lately with fonts has been super frustrating, or typeface in general, is just not having the right symbols for the things that I'm working on. That is always super frustrating. Apparently no one likes Calvino. I actually can't see the vote right now. I'm trying to see if I can, maybe it's pinned to the top. I can't see it on my phone. Let me see if I can bring it up over here, because I'm curious. I want to know what the... Oh, looks like Vajgar is... Oh, Vajgar and Strika 50-50. How many votes do we have? Only 4 votes? Come on, y'all. Let's see more. Let's get some more votes in. See what's going on. Let's do this. Move this away. Tasty fonts. I agree. Tasty fonts. I personally am a big fan. I think of the Vajgar. That one is my favorite. But just so we're not missing out, I also want to talk about Vajgar. Good transition. This is Petra. I apologize. I will not be able to pronounce this name. And Tomasz Brusil from Briefcase Type. I've heard of Briefcase. Big fan of their type foundry. This is a serif font. It is a modern serif font with Czech typographic influence. There's that Eastern European kind of vibe that we were getting, the Knights Templar vibe. Use cases, editorial headlines, branding, posters, and cultural design work where expressive letterworks are welcome. Could definitely see that application. High contrast and distinctive sculptural forms, which, of course, influenced by Czech book typography and signage traditions, including Czech diacritics, and likely supported extended Latin for Central European use. Yeah, I mean, when I think of like, oh gosh, this is going to be such a, let me see if I can bring this up so I don't sound crazy. There's like a scene in Shrek where they open up the storybook. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to need y'all to just like, this is going to be the ultimate hear me out. But this is on Business Insider. Does this not kind of remind you of like this vibe, you know? Like the Vajgar, like that. I don't know. It has that like medievally kind of fairy tale vibe. I think that's why I'm leaning towards it, because I love fantasy. So That has my vote, personally. We can check up on that vote towards the end, give it some time to ruminate, give us some time to, answer the poll. Make sure you vote. I'll cry if you don't vote. That's the difference between me and Ryan. I'll cry on the stream right now. But enough of that. We'll move over into a really fun one. Another section. This is resources for designers. All right. So our first resource is designing for the eye. And if you want to find links to any of these, they're in the description. There's some AIO links. I think that is the website. Raindrop.io. That's what it is. Raindrop links where you can click on all of these newsletters, all these write-ups, and read about these for yourself. But designing for the eye is an optical corrections in architecture and typography write-up by Nico Kitsakis. I think this is very nice and very useful. There's a couple books on being able to visualize design and visualize being able to, I guess, know what makes good design good design. For this article specifically, Design Beyond Precision. Discover why truly great visual design isn't just about math or symmetry, but relies on intentional distortion, which I think is very fascinating. I think this is commentary more on optical illusionist and fitting boxes in places maybe where they don't fit. Optical corrections across time. Learn about how both Renaissance typographers and ancient Greek architects applied subtle visual tweaks, not for function, but for feeling, to create forms that feel alive. I think that's actually really fascinating commentary as well, because a lot of people talk about this designing for feeling versus designing for aesthetics. And I think, for different people, they may have different opinions on kind of how they interpret that. I personally am a design for feelings type of guy. I love designing things, not really aesthetically, but just that make me feel nice, Reverb Mike on Behance says boxy but safe. Yes. What the letter O and the Pantheon have in common, this is furthering into the article, a deep dive into how curves, proportions, and illusions shape both fonts and temples, which I think is so fascinating. There's also a couple more little beat points that we can hit up in this specific article. Optical illusions, not just tricks, but tools. See how designers use illusions not to deceive, but to enhance how we perceive form, space, and structure. I haven't seen too much design with optical illusion, but I think in this example here with the blue line being longer either on the top or the bottom, this is a great example. I think actually a good call out would be oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name all of a sudden. There's a creator on Instagram who talks about squircles, right? The difference between a square and a circle, and kind of mashing those two together and visually how that looks. I feel like that doesn't necessarily fall in like the optical illusion, but like pillowed squares versus like straight squares with curves. There is like a visual element that adds to that. Escher, yes. Why the moving on to the next sections? Why no part of the Parthenon? Oh my goodness, the Parthenon is actually straight. Ancient Greek architects bent reality literally to make their buildings appear balanced and alive. I think that goes without saying. We definitely can see the imperfections of architecture, especially during that time period. Geometry with the soul. Futura may be a geometric typeface, but without optical corrections, it wouldn't resonate. Explore how emotional intelligence is built into the curves, and emphasis, overshoot, and visual rhythm. Nerd out on the hidden techniques designers and builders use to compensate for human perception. So, lots of good visuals, lots of good information in that article and definitely worth looking into. Next up, my birthday cake looked like a hamburger. That's funny. Next up, we have Howard Pinksy on this hack with Photoshop Harmonize, which is really nice. You can now seamlessly harmonize static layers within your static videos. So that is super sweet. It looks like we might have a video here. So give me one moment. I'm just going to bring that up over here. One moment. Let's open a new link. I don't think I'm going to be able to have sound on this side. There we go. But yeah, let's take a look at this real quick. I can probably offer some commentary. Essentially what they're doing is they're harmonizing this photo within the video, which is actually really, really useful, especially for still images like this one. Still, I don't know, backgrounds, foregrounds, like you're not gonna have to worry about these things moving because they're just there. Very useful, really nice, and all implemented right into Photoshop, which is super nice in my opinion. I've been really enjoying the Harmonize tool. It's been a nice excuse to prank my friends and make some silly things, which I think is quite funny. But great demo, really cool, really nice. Thank you, Howard Pinksy. Next up, very interesting one. We're talking about this at the top of the show. Alto turns your Apple Notes into a website. Reverb Mike over on Behance saying, sometimes you feel like a nut. I agree, especially in these times. So, Alto turning your Apple Notes into a website. You can create a blog or a website, or just share a few notes with your friends or colleagues. With the Apple Notes being implemented into Alto. So, pretty much you can use your notes within Apple iPhone to make specific pages for your website. And you can use text, images, audio, video, things like that. You can install it on Mac, so I guess maybe not on phone yet, but on your Mac OS app and publish any Apple Note with one click. There is no step 3, as you can see here. It's very simple, very easy. Again, like at the top of the show, I was talking, we're moving into a more integrated world where apps are talking to apps, and we're in more closed ecosystems, more closed environments. So you're just going to see more of this implemented, and it's good to hop on it now. Hop on it early while you can, because of course it's just going to be more and more implemented. You're going to have more and more options. So being on it early means that you will understand it even better. Next up, we have, let's move over down here, things not to do as a presenter if you want a great talk recording. This is something that I could definitely take up on. I'm not the best presenter. I'm not the best, person when it comes to talking out loud or things like that. But I've been working on that, especially with being on live streams and doing some things. So I could probably take up some tips on this, as well as some individuals in the chat, maybe, if you're interested. This is an article by Christian Hellman. Most talks are ruined for video because speakers treat the stage like a casual hangout. Avoid time-specific openers. Thanks for coming early. Doesn't age well in a recording. That's interesting. I would never really thought about that from, I guess, a post-viewing perspective, but that is a very good point. Skip the questions. Skip the question slide. Just give people a way to contact you afterward. I think that is actually relevant and very important. Having some type of connection after the speech or after the presentation is really important. Like being able to reach out personally. You know, there may be some questions that people might not want to ask in person, or might be more might want to be more, I guess, private. If that makes sense. Silence is your friend. Pauses before and after you talk make editing easier. That is a good point. Also, Bree, morning. Welcome to File New. Glad that you could be here. We're just talking about tips for presentation. And Just as another call out, and thanks Cody for popping it in the chat, all these links to these articles are in the description. So if you want to read along, or if you want to have these as resources for the upcoming week, feel free to click on those there in the Raindrop link. Don't talk over your intro music. Let the moment land before you jump in, which I find very interesting. I think that could kind of make sense. Mike in Behance says, everybody's a critic, you do you. And Steven over on YouTube saying, I don't know, I disagree. I tend to not want to have a discourse on my more or so private channels, rather just talk in person at events/talks. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think when you are opening yourself up to DMs per se, that opens you up to criticism. And I think that in the defense of that statement, I think that you don't have to do that. That's not like part of the design process. That's not part of the presenting process. So I understand from that perspective of just not being comfortable with that. I don't know. I think it waxes and wanes. It depends on the subject for me personally. A few more tips that are hit in this article, but also, sorry, thank you, Stephen, for sharing that, because it's nice to hear everyone's opinion, especially Mike saying everyone's a critic. I agree. There are a lot of critics out there that are critiquing the way that we function in the world. Yeah. Think beyond the room. Your real audience is watching later online, which we touched on in the beginning of the article. Sipping water gives you a natural pause and helps editors mark transitions, which I think is kind of funny to think about in practice, but it does make sense in the context of editing down, breaking things down. Leave the hype to the moderator. You don't need to warm up the crowd and teach. I think I might disagree with that a little bit. I'm a bit of my own hype man. If not, I'd feel way too awkward, but I do understand the context. Audiences' questions are fine if you repeat the answer. Otherwise, it's confusing in the replay. Audience questions are fine. Oh, I see. Okay. If you repeat the answer. Yes. Makes sense. So some controversial takes, some, good advice. Take with it as you will. Last up in our resources section, we have ADA video compliance checklist. This A11Y collective article on ADA video compliance offers a practical checklist to help creators ensure their video content is accessible and meets legal requirements under the Americans with Disability Act, the ADA. Key recommendations include add accurate closed captions so viewers who are deaf or hard of hearing can follow spoken content, include audio descriptions or transcriptions to convey important visuals, details for blind or visually impaired users, and use accessible video players that support keyboard navigations, screen readers, and customizable playbacks, as well as avoid relying on colors or sounds alone to communicate meaning. Use text labels or icons as alternatives. I think things like this are detrimental for accessible design and to be on more ears and eyes. I think online design and assets and videos are already, or we're already so widespread, right? You're reaching so many televisions and so many screens and so many phones, but we're in a digital age where there's just more and more and more stuff that's being presented online. So with that being there, you're going to have more people with disabilities or more people that are differently abled that would like to consume this content as well. Making things like this as accessible as it is very something I'm very passionate about. Accessibility in art and in design, I think, is again detrimental. I think that's like a pretty good word. Detrimental for being able to function in a society with a whole bunch of different types of people. So definitely a really nice resource. Definitely a really good article. Definitely worth highlighting. Check it out on the Raindrop. But now we are moving into probably what's going to be my favorite section of the day personally, and that is Rebrand. So we're starting off hot. I think this is sick. Personally, I know some people don't like the like 3D puppet style on flat like I guess box design, but there has been a rebrand for General Mills cereal for the Monster cereals in collaboration with Jim Henson or the Jim Henson Company. They're celebrating their 70th year anniversary, and as a special collaboration with Monster Cereal, they're giving the mascots a puppet makeover with Boo Berry, Frankenberry, and Count Chocula. These were my entire childhood, y'all. So I am so in on this. So in on this. The mascots appear as puppets on the cereal box, as we can see, and the Jim Henson Creature Shop created real puppet versions of the characters. These puppets are featured in merchandise and a playful social media campaign. I am so pro, playful, fun, package design, branding. More of this in design. I am begging you, more of this. I would love to see it. Bree saying the Frankenberries have always been my fave. Yeah, it's hard to beat the Frankenberries, but I am a chocolate head. I do love Count Chocula. I also love the design of Count Chocula. I feel like with my illustration design, I definitely lean more towards that, just generally speaking, which is really funny. And I'm curious, because it looks like, we got 13 votes on our font poll. Looks like Strika is our font of the week, which is super sweet. But I wanted to see if you could, in the chat, Cody, could you do a little vote on which one of these cereals are people's favorites? Like, do we like Boo Berry? Do we like Count Chocula, or do we like Frankenberry? I'm kind of curious to see what people's opinions are and what they like the most. Reverb Mike over on the Behance side saying can't beat Captain Crunch, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I do love Captain Crunch. I feel like that's in a different league of its own though. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Captain Crunch, all that type of stuff. Big fan of those. I don't know. I think the mascot vibe, like Frosted Flakes, that was such a huge influence on my illustration and my design. So it's funny that we're talking about it here very candidly, like just mascots in general, cereal mascots and things like that. Next in our rebrand spotlight, we have Lazy Boy. Oh, sorry. Don't want to gloss over this yet. Aller saying these cereals aren't available here. I never thought of that not being, or of them being specifically US based. I wonder if they're available in Canada. I actually don't know. I'm curious. I'm gonna look this up. We're sideboarding for some Count Chocula research. It looks like it is available in Canada. So there's that. But that's crazy that it's not available in the UK. I mean, different food regulations, of course. There's probably way too much sugar, I would imagine. And yeah, it looks like you spelled them all right, Cody. You got it. You nailed it. But yes, let's move over to Lazy Boy. Lazy Boy has done a brand new rebrand, which I'm kind of into. This article is, the branding is by Collie McVoy. They ditched the iconic blue Z, which I feel like is so beyond dated, and moved to this nice, sleek, scripted word mark, which I'm into. I also love the blue that they chose. It's a little easier on the eyes. I don't know. This is a very 2000s design, if it wasn't obvious enough. It's giving 2000s to me, at least. And this is giving like coffee shop. This is giving very like, I would go in here. I would think that they're like a boutique or something, in my opinion. Lazy Boy, much more trendy now. Oh yeah, big time. And Bree on YouTube saying The Blueberry looks like he smoked the devil's lettuce. Yeah, who voted Blueberry? Who voted Blueberry? Let's see. It does kind of look like he's cooking a little bit. For once, a rebrand I like, Oliver. I agree. I really like this. I mean, there's one more rebrand. I think it was Range Rover. Did they rebrand pretty recently? That I really liked. Let's see if this will load for me. I don't know if they actually rebranded. Oh, yes, they did rebrand. With this logo, I'm kind of into it. Like, I know it's weird, but like I like the like optical illusion vibe because I've always been a big fan of like the smear illustrative style, like when you put your design in a scanner and then you drag it with the scanner so it has this like weird wiggly effect. I might be like talking into the void here. You might not be knowing what I'm talking about. Did I say Range Rover? I meant Rolls Royce. Sorry. Oh, Burger King got a rebrand? Hold on, let's look. We're getting some good call outs today. From Mike over on Behance. Is this a new rebrand? Huh. I can't tell if this is their new rebrand. Yes, this is their new rebrand. More of the kind of like flat icon base, but like kind of going back to the old style. This middle one was their original logo, if I'm not mistaken. I'm always a fan of this type of logo mark illustration, and especially when they get into like this vibe. Ooh, peak in my opinion. Clever says Range Rover is no good. To each their own. Respect. But can we all agree that Burger King kind of goes hard? Because I'm a big fan of the Burger King rebrand for sure. Looks like Count Chocula is at 83% in the votes. Got some real homies out there. Thank you very much. All that to be said, a lot of rebrand talking. So let's move into our next segment, which is Spotlight. Got a few things to spotlight here. Few really fun articles that I actually enjoyed reading through very, very much. This is something I have like a unhealthy fascination with. This Bears Will Be Boys article detailing an analysis of how animals are gendered in children's literature. I find this so fascinating because I do think there is a tonal shift through the years of, again, representation and how things are presented, especially in children's books, because those are impressionable points in time. I think that they go without saying that diversity can be very important at such an impressionable age. To kind of dive into this article and give you the cliff notes, the team behind it read and reviewed around 300 children's books published over the past 70 plus years, focusing on how often animal characters are presented as male, female, or gender neutral. Interactive data visualizations, clean, data-rich visuals enable you to explore how different animals and time periods compare in terms of gender representation. And I think I can actually bring that up here just so we can kind of get a look at those graphs. Let me just scroll through here because I feel like that is just so fascinating to me. Yeah, we can see right here. So, a nice, clear representation of seeing that kind of that shift of more he or she, her to the right of the graph and more he, him to the left of the graph. Ryan in the chat saying this made me nostalgic for so many books I had. Oh yeah. I wish that I still had a lot of my children's books. My mom actually wrote my children's books. That's a little fun fact about me. And even more fun fact, my mom is working on a children's book right now that I think I'm going to try to illustrate for her. She's a great writer, very talented, has written some very sweet stuff. I love data visualization. The It's cut off for me. The color of the page, the interactivity of the hover of the states. I agree. I am a big fan of clear visualization, and it's interesting to see like the shift, or not the shift, but I guess like the general consensus of like, I don't know, I think in my mind's eye, I do kind of think of birds as more feminine presenting in children's books, and I do think of cats, or I should say wolves and frogs, as male presenting. Like, it's just very, very weighty, which is funny. Bree says me too. Yes. Reverb says Berenstain Bears. Absolutely. Anthropomorphize animals in surveys. Wow. This is a big jump. It's interesting to see this. I would definitely check out this article. It's a nice one. It's got a lot of information, lots of animals, and quite the fun little spotlight. Another little thing to call out, which I find a little funny, just because, terms, words, all of those things. SEO is dead. Say hello to GEO. This article explores the collapse of traditional search engines optimization for SEO and the rise of generative engine optimization, GEO, a new strategy for getting content seen in the age of AI-powered search and chatbots as Google and other platforms shift towards AI-generated answers rather than lists of links, which I think for some people, including myself, a little bit of a bummer. Was a big fan of the SEO thing, but again, we adjust as we go and we make these changes. We've got about 5-ish minutes left. Bree in the chat saying the birds drop off babies, LOL, have to be female. Absolutely correct. The men would not make the journey. So I'm going to try to fly through some of these last ones. We have some hyperlinks and one more spotlight to highlight, and this spotlight is for Adobe Express. I thought this was so cool. I'm a huge fan of micro trends, and this is an article written up through Adobe Express highlighting micro trends flourishing this season. The Gilded Age 2.0 inspired ornate, playful, and maximalist Rococo style. Bull cherry, which is cherry red colors in design, as well as green and earthy tones. I feel like I'm living in green and earthy tones, so not really a trend for me, just something that I do all the time. Definitely worth checking out. Oh, also chainmail, medieval inspired design. Very cool, very nice. I highly encourage checking this out. If you want to make a conglomerate of trendy posters, maybe for our micro trend summer, then I would love to see it. And you know where you could post it? Over on the Discord. Over in the Adobe Live Discord. We actually have a Discord specifically for File New. So you can hop in. I'll be in there at the end of today's stream talking about kind of how we're feeling, what our favorite cereal is. So if you want to pop over there and hang out, chat about today's show, I'll be there. Let's rock and roll. Are they cuckoo for Rococo style? That's very funny. That is very funny. This leads us into our last link of today, which is, of course, hyperlinks. We've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to just try to fly through these as fast as possible. Drawfish.com. You create a simple fish doodle, submit it, and it's added to a communal tank alongside drawings. I love things like this. They're so fun. We also have cloud gazing. Cloudgazing.online is draw and share cloud art gallery. Use it to bring clouds to life and draw on clouds. Very fun. Good way to relax, kick back, and not have to worry about some crazy. You can put off the commissions. And directory of boring websites. This is literally a directory of just websites that are boring. So if you ever were just having too much fun in the day and just really wanted to be bored, this is for you. All of these links are in the description or I should say, the links to these links are in the description. The Raindrop link, where you can find all of these articles in detail and go a little bit deeper than what I was able to today. I'm going to pop right back over here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today for File New. Next week, I believe Ryan is back. So thank you for giving me such a warm welcome. It was a lot of fun learning some new things, and I hope you learned something too. I hope that these articles are something you can take away and get some cool stuff from, and yeah, have some more graphic design knowledge. So thank you so much for watching File New. I will see you guys tomorrow somewhere else, so look out for that. And yeah, thanks guys. See you later. Bye bye.